Mr. President, honorable ministers, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, you've already been very generous with your time. We've had, I think, one of the best sessions that I've seen since my leadership of the NESG, thanks to you. And so I won't take more than 1 additional hour of your time. But Mr. President, just to offer my very deep and profound thanks on behalf of the board and management of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group for your time here and for your leadership all through the summit process. When we met in Geneva in January at the Eminent Persons Group panel meeting, and the Minister of Agriculture presented your vision for agriculture, I recall that we were very reluctant to speak, but you insisted that we had to say something. And we made a very simple offer. We said we believed in the vision. We said this vision was well thought out. And we said that the vision had the potential to transform the agricultural sector. And we offered, Mr. President, to bring this vision to the Nigerian people in order for it to have greater impact, in order for the transformation to really take place. And you were extremely gracious, you were very excited, you were very enthusiastic in accepting our proposition. Mr. President, we have delivered. And I believe that it is to the benefit of this nation that we made that proposition, that you accepted, and that you have supported it fully. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the offer we made was strategic. We felt that on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the NESG, it was time for us to rethink our engagement strategy. And we thought that after 20 years of focusing on Nigeria's development in a general nature, focusing on general themes of economic development, we thought it was appropriate to begin to look at what we considered critical sectors for Nigeria's development. And listening to you today, listening to you in Geneva, one of the finest moments that I've seen, listening to you in Davos, the vision that you so clearly articulated, coming back home today, listening to these young people in particular, listening to the president of African Development Bank, I'm very glad, and I believe the board, whom I will shortly identify, for those of them that are here, are extremely proud that we have made this strategic shift to focus on key and specific sectors of Nigeria's economy. It's not going to be the last. Because, Mr. President, you would appreciate the fact that in order for any kind of transformation to take place, you need an educated populace. You would appreciate that you need a healthy populace, as well as all the other linkages that you so very well articulated in your speech a short while ago. But however, we think that going forward again, with your kind permission and your support, sir, perhaps the next economic summit would consider seriously focusing on the education sector. Because of the crisis that we have seen, that across every sector, across every level, we thought that one key to really ensuring effective transformation, the agenda that you have so well articulated, is for this populace, for this population to become better educated. We're not saying that nothing is being done, but we're saying that in spite of what is being done, we hear every day of the crisis in this education sector. And so, in line with this strategic shift, we would like, Mr. President, like I said, with your kind permission, sir, for the next summit to focus on perhaps the education sector. Mr. President, we thank you very much for the very eloquent acknowledgement of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, the annual summits as a foremost platform for public-private dialogue in Nigeria. Mr. President, in this audience this morning, with your permission, I'm going to invite members of the board of the NESG to please stand wherever they may be seated. Please, members of the board of the NESG, could you stand, please, wherever you're seated? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, you would appreciate that none of these men and women are contractors. These are thoroughbred professionals. Thoroughbred professionals. The only basis for their involvement in the NESG is a noble one, just love of country, interest in public policy, their recognition that things need to be done in a particular way in order for even their businesses to be sustained. They get no pay for the work that they do. We're continually asking of them. It is because of the likes of them that we have these annual summits. Every year, they reach in all year round, trying to support our advocacy for public policy changes, our initiative for any kind of changes we're looking at. I mean, MDs of banks, Mr. Philip Odorza of the United Bank for Africa, MD CEO, Mr. Michu Sumonu, MD of Shell, Mr. Gianno Christos Giannopoulos, MD of PZ Industries, Mr. Mohamed Yunusa of Dunlop, Mr. Aswe Godalo, a foremost lawyer, Mrs. Shola David Bora, MD of Stanbic IBTC, Keith Richards of Promasido, makers of cowbell, Mr. Vevelde, the MD of Nigerian Breweries, Frank Aibogun, publisher of Business Day, Mr. Kerry Booker, Managing Director of Central Clearing and Security System, Mrs. Wonu Adetayo, of course, Managing Director of Soft Skills Consultants, and Mrs. Funke Oshibodu, recently MD of Union Bank, presently MD of Video Power, one of the very strong participants in the privatization of the power sector. But last but not the least, of course, I mean, there are a couple of them more in the room, Mr. Henry Okolo of a logistics company, Doman Long, one of the foremost logistics companies in the oil and gas sector. We have Mr. Bisi Onosan, right behind you, sir, Managing Director of First Bank PLC, and of course, my chairman and my boss, the chairman of the board, Mr. Folusho Phillips, founder and CEO, chairman of the foremost indigenous consulting firm in this country. Mr. President, these people spend their time talking about our country, discussing the problems of our country, and giving freely of their time. And I just thought it was appropriate to acknowledge them for the first time and to also ask you to please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Mr. President, we want to make a commitment, and that is the commitment of Nigeria's private sector to remain in the forefront of research and debate on Nigeria's economic development. We ask for nothing in return but good governance. We ask for the kinds of initiatives that you have put forward and for which your cabinet and your government is implementing. These are the things that we ask for. We do not ask for anything more. Mr. President, I want to acknowledge the ministers of national planning, the ministers of agriculture, and indeed all the ministers who are seated here today for the tremendous support that we get from them, for the tremendous engagement that we've gotten from them. Working to put this summit together, the Minister of Agriculture has been particularly outstanding. Given of his time, there were days that we were in that office until midnight trying to put the program together, just out of that passion. The Minister of National Planning has always been there. Again, when there's been problems, he's been very quick to come out and say, yes, listen, we need to take this forward. And so I particularly acknowledge all the these two ministers, but again, my profound thanks to all the ministers. Mr. President, we want to thank you very, very profoundly. Of all the presidents that we've had in the last 20 years, it is this president who has spent the greatest time with us. And if I may take the liberty to let the cat out of the bag, something happened on Thursday when we went to brief him. He looked at the panel that was proposed for the Presidential Policy Dialogue, and he said, there's no woman here. No, we can't have this. You have to find the women. Does it mean they're not there? And this was what happened on his own. And after listening to Mrs. Yamisi Ironloye, I think that we couldn't have had a better dialogue. We couldn't have had as good a dialogue if she wasn't on this panel. And we have to thank Mr. President. He looked around and said, where are my people? Where are the investors in Nigeria? Where are the people? I know there are farmers. Where are they? Go and find them. And names were, we said, well, whatever, just go and find them. And after deliberation, again, Alhaji Issa Tafida was identified. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a delight to listen to him, wasn't it? Mr. President, the last word, and that is a request. Again, if I may take the liberty, sir. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, as you've seen, we have a 26-man board. A whole lot of them, some of them are not here, either because they're overseas or they were just not able to join us. Our membership cuts across insurance, cuts across telecommunications, oil and gas, the professions, and many other sectors, Mr. President. But on your economic management team, there is no institutional representation of the NESG as a body. And yet, we have, again, sector-specific representation. If I may take the liberty, sir, to please appeal that you may want to look at this and have or give opportunity to these other sectors, insurance, telecoms, oil and gas, and other professions, which may not be sectoral in nature, for them to have a voice and to be able to canvass all the issues that actually affect them. Mr. President, on this note, I'd like to just say thank you for coming and to, again, reaffirm our commitment, or the commitment of the private sector, to continue to support your government and the very important initiatives that you have so very well articulated. Thank you very much.